So you've built your amazing sorting system, and apparently now you want it upgraded. Well, turns out you came to the right video, guys. First of all, if you have built your sorter, you need to add this little fix to it. So if you haven't watched the video where I show how to fix your sorter with this little yellow circuit in here, go watch that video first. There is a link in the video description, and then come back to this video, and then I will show you how to make your system faster and more functional. During all this time, you guys have suggested a bunch of really smart additions that I could do to the system, and I decided to implement some of them in an easy and modular way. Some of you guys have implemented your own modifications to the system, and some of you guys have even sent me maps on how to do those things, and I think that the things that you guys have adapted are really amazing. But in this case, I'm just trying to make it a little bit easier for you guys to follow. So those are the additions that I made to the system. Let's start with the input system, which is not really an addition, but a recommendation. So you see this here, this input system, this red circuit in here, basically makes that minecart down there make its way all the way up here, unload to this double unloading system, and then return to that point. And all I wanted to achieve with this was to make it one wide to save space. But I don't recommend using this thing. I mentioned it during the tutorial, guys. While I still recommend using this U-shape format because it's more practical, I have nothing against this straight line design, but I would recommend using this kind of input system instead. So check this out, guys. I'm going to get a unstackable item in there, as well as a few stacks of other things in there, and another unstackable item in there. So see, the items are pulled really fast. There's no button that you have to press. Eventually the minecart will get filled up with stuff. I changed this map as well. I moved this entire setup one block to the back, because then we have the hoppers only in this region. In the previous system I had a hopper right here, and the problem with that is that when the minecart is done and it returns through this part in here, it goes to the hopper first, and by going to the hopper first, it picks up the items that are arriving. By the way, this is double unload speed, guys. This is amazing, because this guy is on top of 2 hoppers at the same time. I have a video on it if you guys want to check it out. Yeah, this is the thing that happens. When this minecart goes back, and only when it goes back, it sends the minecart on its way. So we make sure that the first time it's loaded with all the items. So I think this is a really great input system that you can use, and it takes care of the unstackable items. Let's see here. See, the unstackable items are returned here to you, and I made it so it stops the system as well. It stops the system until the player removes the items from here, because if you keep accumulating items in here, eventually it will fill up, and then your system can break. Which is why I stop the system when you have unstackable items in here until those items are removed. So the first one was already removed, which was the sword, and then we're gonna have to wait for the shulker box. The system is still delivering items, but now they're probably all in here. See, the system. Yeah, I also adapted the little fix in yellow in here. It's a little bit different compared to this one. Let me give you guys a good look on this one. So see, the shape is different because this has this block in here to cover all of this, and because I wanted to make this thing still flat here, like flush with the wall, so you guys can keep building in this region, I just stretched the circuit and made it like you see in here. The system is a little bit faster as well because you don't have a solid block in here, so this would be the safer option, but this would be the faster option. By the way, I wasn't supposed to be breaking the system while it works. And then yeah, it's unloading. So yeah, I also added glass on top of these blocks. This is completely, well, not completely unnecessary. It's just because if you're building around your place, if items fall inside these hoppers, it's going to be a problem, isn't it? So yeah, by just placing solid blocks on top of these guys, you're going to avoid this. Also, some people want to place furnaces on top of those hoppers, which is not entirely recommended because last time I heard about it, if you don't have items around in this chunk, and by items I mean literally items floating from farms, you know, from farms that drop anywhere, the furnaces on top of hoppers actually decrease your performance. It causes more lag than it helps. Yes, technical community sometimes get things wrong, but this is basically how you get things right, by trying. Alright guys, so yeah, I made a couple of changes, so you might want to download the map again if you want to see all the changes. Let's move on to the part you all guys are here for. Okay, the way the sorter works is by stealing items from these chests. And in order to do that, the minecart can never be fully loaded. Otherwise, it won't have room to pick up any items. So we need to always make sure that the minecart is never full, which is why, let me get to spectator mode. If the minecart is completely full, then this detector radio is going to tell the system, hey, this minecart is not going to be able to pick up any more items. What can we do about it? And this hopper in here will take one item from the minecart and then send this item back into the input chest so that the minecart can pick it up next time and then do the actual sorting meanwhile. But this also means that for every stack of items, the minecart has to do 2 trips. If it stacks to 16 or 63 or 64, it's going to deliver the 63 items first and then one item later, or 15 items 15 items first and then one item later, which means it does 2 trips for every stack of items, which is a lack of efficiency that some of you guys have pointed out. So because of your suggestions, I added this little system in here that I was in the beginning I was a little bit reluctant to add because it increases the size of the system, but it's so amazing. It's so amazing, guys. So what the system does is, instead of getting the item back into the input chest, it brings the item all the way up here. So when the minecart comes back from sorting, from actually finding a slot for your item, it picks the item back up, gets the full stack and delivers it to the distribution system in here. Let me try to show you guys how it works with this stack of steaks in here. So I'm just going to try and put those in here. Let me see. I don't know if the monostable is in the. So it happens really quick. You can see that this is flashing. The steak is in here, and then the minecart will have all the 64 items in one go, guys. If we check in here, it's going to deliver. By the way, this is how the lamps work. They light up the entire path until they find the place. The place where items are being unloaded is always the off lamp that follows the lamps that are on. So it's delivering to this column in here. So see, it's going to deliver the full stack, not 63 items, and that's it. Now the minecart's going to return, and it's never going to be fired again. See? So no more 2 trips per stack, guys. The next upgrade are these green lines in here. And what they do is they create shortcuts for the minecarts. Because if you find an item in here, well, ideally you would go back from here and then start unloading without ever checking the other slots. Because once you find an item in a specified slot, it's not supposed to be anywhere else. Or if you find an item in here, the shortcut system will allow the minecart to return earlier. And on average, this makes your system work 32% faster. I loaded the minecart with some rails, and you will see that, see how it turns, and now it's going to reset it. See, and now it's delivering already. So yeah, a smart move now from you guys is to get the items that you use the most in these sections in here, the first section and this other section in here, so that it can take the most advantage of this shortcut system. And yeah, of course, the items that are not too frequent in your system should be on this side, so that you can take the most advantage of the shortcut system. That's all. And last but not least, you guys asked me what happens if the system overflows. What happens like in cases like this? I think this chest is the one for, yeah, all types of variants for cobblestone and stone, which are items that we usually have a lot of those. And for those items, well, you can do whatever you want, of course, but I wouldn't recommend using the multi-item sorter for those because you have way too many of those. So I would recommend either building a silo for items such as sand or items, items that we get a lot, so like stone and things like that, or Impulse's classic sorting system, because then it's going to be more well organized, but once again, you do what you want. And if the chests get too full, what's going to happen is, first, it's going to send the items to the unsorted items chest, because it wasn't able to fit the item within the items that where they are supposed to be, right? But turns out that this guy can also get completely full. So in this case, I want to show you guys what happens. So all the items here, I just filled the items completely, and I also filled the back here, like with the hoppers. They're completely full, so there are no more items that fit in there. So let's try and put one more item that I know is not going to be classified. So let's put this one item in here. I don't think it's going to detect it, so I'm just gonna press the button in here. So it's not gonna find any classifier or any category for this. See, it's resetting everything, and now it's going to send the item all the way around. So I will cut to that part. The item is about to arrive, and there's no place for the item, so something really dramatic is going to happen. Which is this lamp is going to be blinking, and your system will show you complete panic. And this is what the system does. So when the item doesn't fit in here, there is a pair of hoppers that are added in here. Right? So they tell you basically that, hey, your system has way too many items, time for you to do something about it. All right. So if you start pulling items from here, for example, the panic will go away because the item will be eventually will find space. As long as the item can stack with the other items in here, you just have to remove items from there. But let's now do another simulation where it's not at the limit situation. You actually surpass the number of items that the system can hold at any time. I'm actually going to deliver those manually so that it doesn't take too long. I believe I can place those back here. Oh no, those are already full. Okay, here. Okay, so as the items start to arrive, we will see what happens now. And now we should be looking on this side to see what happens. So the first step is to warn the user about what's happening in a very dramatic way. And the second step is to start basically discarding items because there is nothing else to do. And the system is basically trying to save itself by throwing away items that it cannot handle. As you can see, when this situation occurs, there is a different kind of warning. As you can see, all the alternating lamps get lit up, but they're not blinking. So this is where your system just stopped. Yeah, if you think about it, the reason why I did that is because I reused this line to send a signal in here. So if the minecart is currently unloading as it was, see here, it will be stopped. So the minecart will not return and try to take more items from your input chest and place in the system until you get in there and you solve those issues, because your system cannot deal with more items. So you have to do something about it. So I did this little door in here. You can, I guess you can click this button and then it's going to discard quite a few items in there. And you need to keep doing that. But the thing you need to do really is to do something about those items, because your system cannot do anything else for you. You are a hoarder. So as a hoarder, you have been accumulating way too many items in here. Press the button again. It's going to get rid of as many items as it possibly can. And now the situation is sorted out. Then your minecart can continue doing its work. At least it thinks it can. It will find a bunch of filled up chests in here. So yeah, you really need to take care of your sorting system. And this is not special to my multi-item sorting system. With every system, with every sorting system, you need to take care of your items. Otherwise, they will overflow and start throwing away items that can be valuable to you. This system has 12 chests for every section in here, okay? So this makes a total of 36. Impulse SSVs is 39 in total. And I want to say that if you have only 8 slices, it's enough to store every item in the system. Every item in the game, I mean. Of course, I'm not counting the unstackable items because those cannot be sorted in a system like this. But this is enough, just 8 slices, guys. But of course, we want more categories because we want things that are more logical in our minds. But I wouldn't recommend doing more than 45 categories. Not because the system cannot do this. The system can handle it, especially with the fix now. But it starts to lose its meaning if you do way too many categories. You start to do categories that make no sense, to be honest. So 45 categories is also going to give you a nice 15 by 15 by 15 sections, and then these will be extended max to 15, and you're not going to run in a lot of trouble, guys. So trust me. Unless you know what you're doing, just stick to these rules, and I believe you're not going to be disappointed. Time to build some improvements, guys. And we're going to start with the elevator system that makes the minecart make only one trip for every stack of items. So we're going to start by moving this button to the side here, and this repeater has to be on 2 ticks now. It's normally on 1 tick, but with only 1 tick it loads this cart with 63 items, and we want it to be loaded with 64 every time. Now we need to get rid of this dropper and reclaim these 3 hoppers in there, and this dropper is actually going to point towards this direction, and then here is where you get to start building your item elevator. So 3 droppers facing up and another dropper facing this direction, and here you can also place your hopper. So aim at the rail, hold shift, and then place your droppers like this, so they are facing this direction. Okay, and now we have a rather difficult placement in here. You have to get in there and hold shift again and place your hopper facing the item elevator. And now we're gonna do some redstone for the item elevator. So to do that, we're gonna do things like so. I think it's something. No, it's something like that. I don't know. I can't remember now, but I'll get it right. So comparator goes in there, and then here we're gonna have a torch tower. The storage tower is going to be a clock that we build like this. And here we have to redirect some redstone, so you can place a hook in here because hooks cannot be interacted with and they redirect redstone, so it's a good thing, right? And now we have to stop this clock. So place your torch here and then your items in there. So this is going to be a short, silent item elevator. So if I place an item in here, it's going to detect it and send the item all the way up to here. And that is all. That's all you need for your system to now transport full stacks to the unloading area. Let's run a quick test here just to be sure. Okay, 16 items in there. We can send the minecart, and we can see that the 16th banner is already up here. Minecart's going to return because the banners actually go on the other side of the thing. It's going to pick that banner up, and then we can see that all the 16 items are going to be delivered. Ta-da! It works. Next up, we're going to do the shortcut system, which is the grain circuit. So we can start by extending all of these lines. We can't really extend this one because it's going to touch the elevator. So you can either use more hoppers and have your elevator be here, like with the torch tower being here, so you get more space to do that kind of stuff in here. Or you can use a technique that I will show you guys in the end called ugly redstone. Alright, So just place redstone dust in here, and then torches in there. It's really easy to implement. And here you want to have more redstone dust. Alright, and here is where you're gonna have your return system. So you're gonna do a build like this. So those 3 blocks, like so, and then here you extend this thing like you see in here. But it will also require this guy to be a powered block. So you can place a regular rail in there, and then all of those guys are going to be powered rails. Now we need a way to turn this guy, and we're going to do this by powering this block in there. So place a torch in here, and your redstone dust in there. But keep in mind that this depends on direction. So you need to see, normally your system has to be like this. Minecart has to always try to go forward, and only when it finds an item in there that it needs to turn. So depending on your orientation, it's going to be different, and I will show you guys by doing the same thing on the other side. So you guys will see that instead of a torch, we're going to use a repeater here. Alright, so I have already done the torches and redstone line for the second section, as well as the return point. So what we need to do now is to power this block. So if we use the torch in here now, you can see that normally the system will always return from this point, which is something we don't want. So this is a case where the rails need to be normally unpowered rather than normally powered. So just add a repeater here instead of a torch. Alright, so another thing we have to notice here is that in order for a minecart to be able to pick up an item here and we be able to change the direction of this rail in time for us to actually change the direction where the minecart goes, so close here, we can't have more delay. We have delay here from the comparator, plus 1 here, plus another 1 in here. So what I'm saying is, if you add 1 tick in here or another repeater or a torch in there, you are not going to be able to turn the minecart, turn the rail in time for the minecart to use the system in this extreme case where it picks up an item for the very border in here, like one of those cases where it's transitioning from one section to the other. Of course, now we should test our shortcut system. So I'm gonna place these rails that make the minecart return to the first section, and these stone ones that make the minecart return to the second section. So let's see. The minecart returns from this point. Yes, so the first shortcut is working. It has reset properly. I just placed a few items so it would go a little bit faster. Okay, is it unloaded still? Okay, minecart's going to return, and now we should see the minecart taking the second shortcut. Alright, so let's see if the minecart climbs up that thing. Appears like so. So yeah, it has taken the second shortcut, so our system is working correctly. And last but not least, we're going to add the item disposal system, or like I like to call it, the panic and drama system. Okay, the end of your hopper line should be like this if you downloaded the original map, but I left it here just in case you guys wanted to expand or try other things. But in practice, you are not going to need this entire thing in here. You can basically destroy that stuff. The redstone here is not necessary, and I'm going to move this little return point 1 block to the left. So here's how a proper slice for the unsorted items should look like. This is how you should start, by the way. Okay, so let's start by placing a comparator in here, and we're gonna need a slab in here so it doesn't power the dropper in there, and then another solid block in here and redstone dust, and this storage is going to power this note block. It's not a jukebox, guys, it's a note block. And then place your observers like this, facing sideways, upside down. I'm gonna need to break some of those blocks, and then a solid block here another node block, and finally observer facing upwards. Alright, and from these we can power a dropper directly. So I have a dropper here. So this node block is going to power this dropper, and the dropper is going to have a hopper on top facing downwards, and then you just need to connect another hopper in here. So those hoppers are going to face each other, and this is what's going to create the drama clock, guys, the amazing drama clock. And here, just for good measure, I'm going to replace all of those blocks, place a comparator here, and another piece of redstone dust in there. So yeah, it's good. I'm gonna cover this with lanterns in here and just have a tube here. Time to test this thing. So the chests on this side are not really full, so I'm just going to simulate them being full by removing this hopper. So basically no items can go anywhere other than be in this hopper and start the clock. So your system is completely full, and then another item comes in. The reason why I'm using items that stack to 16 is because then it's going to, the thing that I want to show you guys is going to happen sooner. So see, the drama system started. You are going to be completely in panic. By the way, I showed you guys that you can place a button here. I would use one of the wooden buttons because they have longer duration, so they would extract the items for you guys. So if you press the button in here, it's going to throw away the item, as you can see. But say that you just dropped a bunch of items and then you flew away to do something else, and then your sorter is doing its thing here meanwhile. So yeah, like a bunch of items got inside your system. So the first thing that's going to happen is that the drama system is going to be activated, but soon enough, as it's full, you guys just saw that, it's going to get rid of most of the items. So you're going to see that some items are still going to be there. So see, it's going to accumulate items. It gets rid of items until the signal strength falls from 2 to only 1. So if I place more items in here, see, the dropper gets activated in there. Maybe if I place more items, see, the dropper, you heard the sound probably. The dropper gets activated and then it gets rid of items. But then you're gonna have a few items in there, but you can always try and press the button and it's going to get rid of a few items for you. Of course, you can have this get rid of the items for you in any direction. If like the item got stuck in there because of the hitbox of hoppers, so now you can just like turn this guy and throw them in lava or fire or cactus, whatever you choose, guys. So this is what the system is going to do. I already explained that it stops the minecart in there and waits for the system to be free to do more stuff. Now all I have to do is to get this map fixed, and this map is going to be available to you guys. Those are all the additions. Some of those were requests, some of those were suggestions, but the important thing is that the community got together and you guys made all of this happen. You guys gave me enough feedback that I was able to do all those kinds of things. Some guys made fixes that are even better than mine. So yeah, maybe there are videos on the internet, so make sure to check them out. If you guys send me links, I will include those in the video description. If I make any upgrades or updates to this map download, those will be in the map download as well, guys. And once again, this was a lot of work, but I think this was worth it because having an awesome sorting system in your game is going to be literally a game changer, guys. Thank you very much for all the support. Thank you very much to everyone in the community, and hope to see you guys soon, guys. Goodbye.